It was an ordinary Wednesday evening. I had just walked in from a long day at work, tired and ready to relax. All I wanted was to finish the leftover Sori had cooked, drink a beer, and watch an episode of Chicago Fire. But as soon as I stepped into the house, I felt something was off. "Honey, I'm in the living room. Please come here and sit down. We need to talk," Sue's voice called out, sounding unusually serious. I sighed heavily, feeling a sense of dread creeping in. "I'm coming, dear," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. As I walked into the living room, I saw Sori sitting nervously on the sofa. A half-empty bottle of California red wine sat on the table, and she quickly poured herself another glass, her hands shaking slightly. I plopped down into my deep chair, feeling the weight of the day settling in my bones. "What's going on, Sori?" I asked, trying to keep my tone light. She took a deep breath and looked me in the eye. "I'm not going to beat around the bush, Hi. I've been your faithful wife and a good mother to our children all my adult life. They're on their own now, so my job is done." I nodded slowly, unsure of where this was heading. "Yeah, I know you've been great." Sori took another sip of her wine. "As you know, I was a virgin when we got married." I chuckled awkwardly, trying to lighten the mood. "Me too," I interrupted, but my joke fell flat. She ignored my attempt at humor and pressed on. "Anyway, I'm going away this weekend with a friend." My heart skipped a beat. "What's his name?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "If you must know, it's Stan. Stanley Carrington, your boss." "I think our son is older than him," I said, feeling a mixture of disbelief and anger rising inside me. "Hi, don't be capricious. He's 30. Give me some credit. Anyway, I want to experience other men. I know you love me and will let me take some time off. When it's all over, I'll make it up to you and our lives will move on. For Christ's sake, be realistic, Sori. If you do this, our marriage will end," I said, my voice shaking with emotion. "Stop being so melodramatic, Hi. You won't divorce me over this little thing. Besides, it would cost you too much," she replied, rolling her eyes. "That's true, but I would still reject the cheating wife," I said, my anger boiling over. Sori seemed unfazed. "Moreover, Stanley will pick me up on Friday evening. I expect you to invite him in." He was a little nervous about it, so I thought seeing that you were okay with it would help him cope. "Seriously? You want me to entertain your boyfriend while you finish getting dressed for your weekend with him?" I asked, incredulous. "Yes, that's what I expect from you," she said, finishing her wine. The room fell silent. I felt a storm of emotions brewing inside me. Anger, betrayal, disbelief. I looked at Sori, the one I had loved for so many years, and felt like I was staring at a stranger. The unexpected revelation had shattered my world, and I knew nothing would ever be the same again. The days leading up to Friday felt like walking on a tightrope. The house was filled with a tense silence, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath, waiting for the inevitable clash. Sori and I went through our routines, barely speaking. Each word exchanged was like a delicate, fragile thing that could shatter at any moment. On Thursday evening, I found myself in the kitchen, absently washing dishes. Suri came in and started making a list for the grocery store. "Do we need more milk?" she asked, her voice neutral, almost businesslike. "Yeah, we're running low," I replied, trying to keep my tone equally detached. "And get some bread too." We continued like this, listing off items we needed, avoiding any real conversation. The unspoken tension between us was like a coiled spring ready to snap. That night, as we got ready for bed, Suri broke the silence. "Hi, are you really going to make this difficult?" I looked at her, feeling a mixture of sadness and anger. "I just don't understand how you can be so casual about this. Do you even care about what it's doing to us?" She sighed, clearly frustrated. "I've already explained my reasons. I just need this, okay? It's not about you. It's about me. And what about us? What about our marriage?" I asked, my voice cracking. "Can we not do this right now?" "I'm tired," she said, turning away from me. I watched her climb into bed, feeling more alone than ever. I decided to sleep in the office that night, the pull-out bed offering little comfort, but at least a physical distance from the emotional chasm that had opened between us. Friday came too quickly. I went through my day at work in a haze, barely able to concentrate. My coworkers noticed my distracted state, but I brushed off their concerns with a forced smile and a vague excuse about being tired. When I got home, the tension was palpable. Suri was busying herself with last-minute preparations, her suitcase already packed and waiting by the door. I avoided her, retreating to the office to escape the unbearable tension. At exactly 7 p.m., the doorbell rang, the new melody, a haunting tune, echoing through the house. I took a deep breath and walked to the door, feeling like I was marching to my own execution. "Suri, what was that sound?" I called out, trying to keep my voice steady. "It's the doorbell, honey. I changed the music," she replied from the bedroom. "What is this melody?" "It's hauntingly familiar," I said, more to myself than to her. "It's called El Duel," she answered nonchalantly. "I don't like it. Please change it later. Now let Stanley in. I need another 15 minutes to get ready. Offer him a drink. He loves bourbon." "Of course, dear," I said, the sarcasm in my voice unmistakable. I opened the door to find Stanley standing there with a smug grin on his face. It took every ounce of self-control not to punch him right then and there. Instead, I forced a smile. "Stanley, come on in," I said, stepping aside to let him enter. "Thanks, Hi. I appreciate this," he said, looking around the house with a curious eye. "Would you like a drink?" "We have bourbon," I offered, my voice strained. "That would be great," he replied, settling himself on the sofa as if he owned the place. I poured him a glass, watching his every move with a growing sense of disgust. The minutes ticked by, each one feeling like an eternity. Finally, Suri emerged from the bedroom, dressed to the nines and looking radiant. "Stanley, you're here. Sorry to keep you waiting," she said, kissing him on the cheek. "No problem, Suri. Thanks for the drink, Hi," he said, raising his glass to me. I forced a smile, feeling the storm brewing inside me. The calm before the inevitable clash was almost over, and I knew that the peace would soon shatter, leaving nothing but chaos in its wake. Friday night had finally arrived, and the air in the house was thick with tension. I sat in the living room, staring at the clock, each tick echoing like a drumbeat in my head. Suri was still in the bedroom, putting the final touches on her appearance. The doorbell's haunting melody broke the silence, signaling the arrival of Stanley. I took a deep breath, then walked to the door, my heart pounding in my chest. Opening it, I was greeted by Stanley's smug grin. It took every ounce of self-control not to lash out at him right there. "Stanley, come on in," I said, forcing a smile. "Thanks, Hi. I appreciate this," he replied, stepping inside. I led him to the living room, offering him a seat. "Would you like a drink? We have bourbon." "That would be great, thanks," Stanley said, making himself comfortable on the sofa. I poured him a glass, the tension in the room almost palpable. "Here you go," I said, handing him the drink. "Cheers, Hi," he said, raising his glass. "Cheers," I replied, my voice strained. Minutes felt like hours as we sat in silence, the only sound the ticking of the clock. Finally, Suri emerged from the bedroom, looking radiant and ready for her weekend away. "Stanley, you're here. Sorry to keep you waiting," she said, kissing him on the cheek. "No problem, Suri. Thanks for the drink, Hi," he said, raising his glass to me again. I nodded, my stomach churning. The sight of them together, so comfortable and familiar, was almost more than I could bear. "Well, I guess I'll leave you two to it," I said, standing up. As I walked towards the door, something snapped inside me. I turned around and faced Stanley, my anger boiling over. "You know, Stanley, you've got some nerves showing up here," I said, my voice shaking with rage. Stanley looked taken aback. Hi, save it," I interrupted, taking a step closer. "You come into my house, drink my bourbon, and think it's okay to take my wife away for the weekend? You must be out of your mind." Stanley opened his mouth to respond, but I cut him off. "I'm not finished. You think you can just waltz in here and do whatever you want? Well, let me tell you something. This isn't over. Not by a long shot." I turned to Sori, my heart breaking. And you, Suri, I thought we had something special. I thought we were in this together. But I guess I was wrong. Sori looked away, unable to meet my eyes. I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself. Enjoy your weekend, I said, my voice cold and distant. But remember, actions have consequences. With that, I walked out of the house, slamming the door behind me. The storm had finally broken, leaving chaos in its wake. I knew that nothing would ever be the same again.